Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and with me, by phone, we have my dad, Jim. How you doing, Dad?
I'm incredibly fine. I'm good. I'm coming from the infamous front driveway.
The front driveway. You're in the front driveway of love.
Okay, we'll call it that. I would call it the front driveway of annoyance.
I mean,
because surely somebody's going to be walking. Well, it's hot as Hades here today. There's a breeze, but somebody will walk by with their little dog carrying a plastic bag, and they'll see me sitting out there, and they'll yell, and they'll want to talk, and I have to point at the earbuds, and it's inevitable.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. Yeah.
Don't they? You've lived there a while. Don't they know by now that you don't want to talk to them?
You would wish that, wouldn't you?
You would think. You would really. You really would.
Yeah, well, it's like a thing I read a while back. I just recently heard that the neighborhood had a committee meeting to discuss the annoying guy. I'm amazed I wasn't invited. So,
well,
yeah. You would think I would care, but
yeah, well, okay.
I know. One of my neighbors the other night learned that I do not participate in gossip.
Oh yeah.
My neighbor's business is his business. His pool is his business. And when she said, well, they're having this pool put in so they can invite all of her daughter's friends over and have pool parties, and they're Catholic, so you know what they'll be like.
What?
Right? Right. I had no idea where she was going, but I just looked at her. And it's like, okay, we'll let that one go. I have to Google that one, I guess.
I was going to say, we'll have to figure that one out later.
It's like what? All these little kids are going to be walking across the pool instead of swimming in the damn thing?
Are they going to be having like a big, like a random, is a random bingo going to break out,
like a Saturday night baptism party or something?
You're going to have like a Friday night fish fry and all you can drink beer fest? What's going on there?
At least when Catholics have parties, they talk about them. When Baptists have parties, nobody hears a word about it. They don't speak a word.
With Baptist, it's like, what was it? Baptists keep a casserole in the trunk in case an all-day singing breaks out. It's like, no, it's okay.
Exactly. So I'm sitting out front, and if something happens to walk by, I'll do the best I can contend with it. Anyway,
all right. Well,
so here we are.
Okay, so today you and I are going to be smoking a cigar that I received at TPE, and I brought the sampler to you, and I have mine, and it's the new version of the Te Amo from Altadis. And this cigar we're featuring is a 6x52 Toro with a Habano San Andreas wrapper, a Negro San Andreas binder, and Habano San Andreas filler. So it's a Mexican, San Andreas cigar. And
I read one time where Te Amo was like the sole biggest Mexican cigar manufacturer in Mexico.
There you go.
So,
I
don't know if that's the case still or not, but anyway.
You would know better than I would because you smoked these back in the day, but these were huge back then. Well,
they were. And my immediate reaction is they went to a Toro, so I always got Robustos.
Yeah.
All right, so immediately, I'm dealing with a cigar that's about another inch longer than traditionally what I was getting before. But the other thing is they've got a bigger band. They put gold on the band.
Yeah.
And the band is significantly different. It's pretty.
It is. It's got the little white and green, going on.
Right. But one has to ponder, does putting a bigger band with gold justify the significant increase in price? Because when I was buying these, I grant you, it was back in the day. These were just a couple of bucks each. That was back when I was buying Nat Sherman Hudsons for $2.60 a piece.
Oh, okay.
That would have been the early to mid '90s. But now I think these things retail for like $11.25 or $11.50 a piece or something. The MSRP on these.
See, and that's what I've kind of wondered is that the guys that smoked the Te Amo back back in the 90s, are they going to kind of bristle at the price point? Now, obviously it's 2024. Costs
Right.
are higher now than they used to be, and
Right.
everything costs more than it used to. So I wouldn't expect this to be, a $2 or $3 cigar, but
Right.
maybe like a $7 to $8 cigar,
That's what I would have pegged it at, I guess. And admittedly, I don't know the industry. All right.
Yeah.
What does 1 inch more signify in way of cost? I don't know that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so now we're dealing with a 6x52 rather than maybe a 50 or something. But maybe the price difference is justifiable because it's a Toro, perhaps. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
but
according to their website, they do make it in a 5x54 Robusto and a 6x60, what they're calling a Magnum, so like a Gordo size.
Right.
So they do have it in different sizes. It's just the sample that I got from TPE was, a Toro. So
yeah, I'd be curious what the Robusto price would be on this thing because, again, and I do grant you it's been years, but $11.50. I don't know. It's got to be really good because, very candidly, and you've mentioned this a time or two, it wasn't the best cigar ever. I mean, if I wanted a good cigar years ago, I would mail order Nat Sherman.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the Te Amos as a good functional cigar to take out on the golf course.
Okay.
It's kind of like a factory smoke is today.
Okay.
You want a cheap cigar that if it blows away, you don't really feel like you've lost out on something.
Yeah.
And that's what it used to be. So then,
well,
apparently they're stepping their game up. I think they'll do real well in Mexico.
Well, we will get this thing cut and lit, and we'll try it out and see if Te Amo has stepped up their game and become maybe a cigar that's worth a little bit more. So it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by twoguyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, twoguyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and awesome customer service. What more could you possibly want from a cigar website? Please go to twoguyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase and tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. That's the number 2guyscigars.com, and it's now time to go ahead and cut the cigar. So, okay. Getting this guy... little straight cut there. It is awfully windy. It's coming from the south in my area, but it's and I've got my carport storage thing blocking it. But might have there's a
lot of really ugly weather blowing up through Nebraska and Iowa, and kind of severe storm watch, I think, in your area, and it's migrating this way, I think, tomorrow.
I think we're getting it overnight tonight.
Lucky you.
I know. I think it starts overnight tonight, and then I think it pretty much just rains consistently from then on. So
nice. Well, the cicadas need that.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Everybody listening here, between the wind and the cicadas, I have background noise for sure. So, all right, gonna give this guy a little bit of a cold draw here, and yeah. It's kind of a mix of kind of that hay, straw, kind of barnyardy thing,
Right.
That's kind of what I'm tasting off of it. Not poop. Like everybody's like when you say barnyard, you imagine like manure. It's like no. I get like the kind of hay and straw and dirt combination, that kind of a thing. But anyway. But what I get, and I've already fired up and puffed. Yeah,
it's a very solid, dense tobacco. Sometimes you get a tobacco that feels lighter.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking Connecticut and I'll plead stupidity. I don't know all the different fillers and estolese and the whatevers and whatnot. I need to study those. but sometimes you just get one where it's just a really good solid bite.
Yeah.
And the initial puff or two here is given that.
It's not a bad smoke right off the bat. See, and you found or a couple of these a while back when we had done the Battle of the Budgets, and I think you sent me.
I sent you a couple. The originals, right? And
I remember. I'll be honest. This one visually looks lighter. I remember those being maybe a smidge darker in shade, but
they were.
The thing that I was always impressed with that cigar was, we were smoking multiple cigars at the same time, and the Te Amo never went out. Like, I set it down, and I went on to other things, but when I came back to it, it never went out.
Yep.
And that was nice.
Yeah, I'll be watching for that here.
Okay. So,
anyway,
get this going here. So the reason, aside just to have a talk, but the main reason that I had
you have to have a reason to call your dad.
Well, I don't have to have a reason, but in this
did everybody hear that?
In this case, there is a specific reason, so that is the fact that this Sunday is the Indianapolis 500.
Correct.
And
the 108th running of said race.
8th running.
Yeah.
And without getting into specifics, I will not be joining you this year. So
and we're sorry to hear that again.
Yeah,
we need to work on that.
I know. I need to find a way to hire a UN negotiating delegation to come in and help me out. I think that's what this situation calls for. But anyway, we'll move on. But
you have a year to figure that out.
Yeah, well, I had a year to figure it out last year too. So.
I know, but get on it. There's a seat. There's a seat with your name on it this year, and there will be a seat with your name on it next year.
Okay.
All right.
So we have gone in many years past. Are you on a scooter?
No, that's that son of a bitch that's 2 doors down cleaning the street.
Cleaning the street?
Yeah, because they had mulch delivered, and when these guys deliver mulch, they dump it out into the street, and then they shovel it and wheelbarrow it to the back.
Yeah.
And then they have to come with this big air blower on their back and blow it all up on the sidewalk. Anyway, so I apologize for the background landscaping.
I always have background landscapers myself.
I was going to say, you got the guy cutting grass.
Yeah. So. Although he hasn't been by, so there's a very real possibility. We just may have willed him into existence. He may come by before this is done, too. Anyway, so you've been going for how many years?
Oh, my gosh. I originally moved to Indianapolis in 1991, and the company that I worked for at that time, which is now Roche Diagnostics, at the time it was Boehringer Mannheim Corporation, we had penthouse tickets. We had seats in the penthouse in turn 1. And that first year I didn't get them. I was a newbie up here, but I went to practice. And that's the first time I stood by the straightaway and saw a car go past me like a rocket ship, and I was hooked. The first year I attended the race was 1992, up in those penthouse seats. I had manipulated my way into getting the tickets from the company. So I've been going since 92. I think since then, how many years that is, 32 years, whatever it is, I think I've only missed maybe 3.
Yeah.
I believe. We've had the tickets. Because the first several years, son, you go through a broker. Tickets were near impossible to get.
Okay.
And people leave them in the will. I mean, and I've actually jokingly thought about that with you, is because we have good seats.
Yeah, we do. We do.
And I could leave that in the friggin' will, give you pass to my seats, and then you carry on the tradition. But for the first several years, I had to go through a broker.
Okay.
And scalping is legal in Indiana. So, I was paying $200 a seat at the time for a ticket at that time that was going for like $90 or $80 or something. But we did it, and so be it. And then I went ahead and I applied directly to the Speedway, got my seats, and I think I've been getting direct ticketing now I don't know, 15, oh, well, tribes since 2005, I guess. What,
Okay.
19 years or so. So, and you recall we moved seats around a little bit, tried moving there, moving that,
Yeah.
and we kind of went back to where we started. We're, as you know, we're about 75 yards north of the start finish line. We sit up high underneath covering, and we're behind the pits. So we can see them coming out of turn 4 and shooting in front of us in the straightaway, setting up going into turn 1, and we got all the pit action right in front of us.
Yeah, and if you lean forward far enough, you can see him turn into turn 1.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and then I kind of came into this eventually, but you
Right.
go with my uncle, your older brother,
Right.
and originally it was some of his coworkers, right? Partners in his right?
Not really partners, but more friends.
Okay.
As you know, your uncle is a retired oral maxillofacial surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
and one of his best buddies is somebody that I actually knew from a prior life, who taught him in dental school. He was a private practice dentist in South City, St. Louis area, and Gil would come along. And God rest his soul, we lost him a handful of years ago. But he was a big Corvette fan, so we always went to Corvette shows together. And he loved racing. I mean, every day was a festival with this guy. And I mean, we miss him dearly. I mean, every time we go, we always say gratitude to Gil. But he came for a number of years, and then one of Glenn's other friends started packing along, and then you tacked in there, and we had a foursome. So
Yep.
it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and it has worked out well. Now we've had some interesting weather. I remember over the years, some hot days, some rainy days.
We've stood in the tunnel and didn't even see the race because it got rained out before we even got to our damn seats. Yeah. And unfortunately, this weekend there is a risk of storms on Sunday.
Yeah.
The temperature is changing. There's that front coming through that you're going to be experiencing, and that's going to take the temperatures down. I think they were saying it's supposed to be a high of 80 and chance of really late in the afternoon. And now today the high is supposed to be like 74 and a chance of afternoon storms. So as long as they're isolated and blow around, we're okay. But you remember that one year when we were all driving back to St. Louis when I still lived in Florida and I flew home out of St. Louis. That one year we drove out in a tornado and it actually hit a nursing home in the area. And we're evacuating. At the end of the race, they said, everybody evacuate the place. And it's like we all ran like scalded monkeys and tornadoes and all kinds of nasty ass storms. So yeah, hopefully we don't get rain on Sunday.
Yeah. Now there was the one year that I still contend was probably maybe not the best race, but it definitely was the best weather-wise when we had that really weird cold snap. What was that? That was 2021.
Yeah, it would have been about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah.
And oh my God, it was like 50 for the high. It was the only year I've ever worn jeans and a sweater to that.
It was divine.
It was perfect. It really was. It was perfect. It was so nice. But yeah.
Well, this year's I'm intrigued by this year's race is because, well, first of all, for anybody who's listening who may or may not be familiar with the race, but may or may not live in the Indianapolis area, if it's not a sellout, the race is blacked out locally. People who sit at home in Indianapolis can't watch the race.
Okay.
It's usually broadcast. It's a delay broadcast that night, 7:00 after it's all over with. Then they would broadcast it. Look, I think it's like a 75-mile radius outside of Indianapolis. The race is blacked out.
Is it at least on the radio or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can listen to the radio. Yeah. But in 2016, which was the 100th running, it was a sellout. So it was on TV. For some reason, and I didn't hear the announcement. This year, I think there's less than 15,000 tickets remaining.
Okay.
I don't know why on earth it's selling as well as it is. I don't get it because TV ratings for all the other races, blah, blah, blah. They had the Eclipse viewing at the Speedway, and I read an article where a lot of people had never been there before, have decided to go ahead and go to the race. They had a great time at the Speedway, but it blew them away. they had an IndyCar run the track as a demonstration.
Okay.
And apparently a lot of people who went for the Eclipse viewing have bought tickets now to the race. So the point I'm getting at is there's fewer than 15,000 seats remaining, and from what I'm seeing, it's not blacked out this year. So it must be close. It must be close enough to a sellout that they went ahead, and it's going to be on TV. So yeah, locally anyway, it's on TV everywhere else.
Well,
but,
yeah, I know here it's TV, and
right.
But
yeah,
okay.
But yeah, when I was a kid, I remember watching a Wide World of Sports, Chrissy Kaunimaki and Wide World of Sports and the Indy 500, and and listen to the radio and whatnot. So yeah, it's still a big thing to go every year. It's still exciting.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, for the people who either think, oh, I'm not into it, or whatever, or them maybe they are into it, but they've never been. It's a totally different experience in person than it is on TV. I mean, just all the pomp and circumstance, by itself is impressive. Like you can't leave there not feeling good about being an American.
Right.
It's true. I mean,
well, between all of the military forces, they've got the people who march around the entire damn track. Troops march in unison around the track.
Yeah.
And then you got God Bless America and the start. And I mean, it's like the first responders show up. They go around the track. Everybody claps. It's big. It's an Americana kind of a tradition.
Well, and tradition is the other thing. I mean, you have the traditional songs, like you mentioned, God Bless America. That was what, Florence Henderson, right?
Yep, Florence.
Yeah. And
she died on us.
Yeah.
I think Philip Phillips.
Okay.
Some chucklehead from American Idol or something, I guess.
Is he doing
I think he's doing God Bless America this year.
And then there was the guy that took over for
Gomer.
Gomer. Yeah.
Jim Neighbors did Back Home in Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now the guy that's doing it, Jim Cornelison, something like that.
I looked this up one time.
He sings it for the Blackhawks.
Yes, exactly. He's the guy who sings for the Blackhawks.
And he's a graduate of Indiana University, so he has local ties.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. And he's phenomenally good at it.
So, I looked this up one time. Gomer, Jim Neighbors, he had done. He obviously has the record. For the number of times,
right,
of singing it. However, damn it, where I can't find the link now. I found a chart on I think it was Wikipedia where they actually listed off the years and who sang it and everything like that. And there were a couple years in the middle there that he didn't sing it, for whatever, and not when he was obviously way older, but there were a couple years, but. He was
sick.
Yeah,
he was sick for a few years, and I think he had liver cancer and ended up getting a liver transplant. And because of illness, he couldn't make a few years, as I recall.
Well, and they did that video that one year, and that just really wasn't impressive.
Right.
I mean, it was a nice attempt, but it just, but yeah. But anyway, so there's that, and then obviously you have all the celebrities coming out and doing the flag waving and this and that and whatever. Sometimes that's nice, and sometimes it's a bit. I often wonder how they pick the celebrities for that.
I don't know, because they named them this year. I got the email yesterday or the day from the media thing, and there are a couple of I've never heard of these guys. I don't know who the hell they are. They're appearing in some TV show, or a couple of guys. It's like, yeah, okay, who cares?
Well, I mean, the one year when they had the two guys from Ford versus Ferrari, Matt Damon and
Christian
Bale.
Christian Bale, yeah.
That at least made some sense in the grand scheme of life. It was
because that movie was coming out.
That movie was coming out. It was a car movie, I mean, it made a lot of sense. But but yeah, sometimes they get these people and you're like, what the hell? But anyway, so the race itself, the starting lineup is set. This is your chance to give
well,
your
no, wait. No,
pro-
I'll do that in a second. Before
Okay.
we do that, let me step back.
Okay.
I want to give perspective for some of your listeners.
Oh God.
Because this impresses the shit out of me.
Okay.
And and I'm sure you felt that the first time you went to the Speedway, you went, my God.
Oh, it's
I had
huge.
friends. I had business associates here last year from Sweden, and they were gobsmacked. They had no idea when they saw the size and magnitude of this place. They were stunned.
Oh,
and
it's massive.
I found this thing, and it's an image. You can actually find it off of Google. It's off of Google Earth, but it's an image that shows what fits inside of the oval.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
This is a 2.5 mile oval. All right.
Okay.
Inside this oval, get this, you can fit in total Churchill Downs, Rose Bowl Stadium, the Roman Coliseum, the White House, Liberty Island with the Statue of Liberty, the Taj Mahal, Yankee Stadium, and all of Vatican City.
Wait, like you could
all
fit
of it,
all of it,
all of those venues. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium, Vatican, Liberty Island, White House, Taj Mahal, Coliseum, Rose Bowl Stadium, and Churchill Downs. They all fit within the inside of the Speedway oval.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they've got that massive like museum building that's in there, and that doesn't look all that terribly large because of the expanse of land that's all over the place.
Right.
You know, you have all those large bleachers and parking lots and paddock areas, and you know, there's the snake pit party area. I mean, like, yeah, that whole thing. I mean, it is a very large expanse of land.
Until you see it, you don't appreciate it. I mean, we talked about before in another. I was in Florida at Daytona Speedway in January, and it's big.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. It's not nearly the size. I mean, this place is stupid big. So that gives perspective on the magnitude. When you walk up to the Speedway and you go, okay, where's my seats? Yeah, well, you still got about another half an hour walk, you know. So
well, no, and that's it. That's the other thing. When people ask me about going to it, I'm like, you're gonna walk. You're gonna do a lot of walking. It's you know, because we park. I mean, I what would you say from where we park to the seats?
It's a mile. I measured. It's a mile and a quarter.
Really?
Yeah,
I would have thought it was further than that.
And it feels like that because you're bumping through crowds.
Well, that's true. You are bumping through crowds, and typically it's hot. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we park off the property, east of the Speedway, up some crappy little road, and it's a mile and a quarter walk to our seats from where we are. So, yeah. Anyway, so that gives your folks some perspective on the size of this thing. I mean, it's not a tiny little track.
It is not a tiny little track. So then, okay. And for those, you know, we were talking earlier about where our seats are, you know, that we see cars coming out of turn 4, going into turn 1. Obviously the other two turns we don't even see because they're behind us.
There's nowhere on this track where you can see all 4 turns in one spot, unless you're in the top of the pagoda.
Okay.
And we're not those people.
We are not those people, no. But they do have a lot of like large monitors all over the place, so you can very easily keep track, you know, and be watching. I will say when the cars are going by, you're listening to the announcers, you know, kind of talking and commentary and whatnot. But then obviously when the cars are going by, you can't hear shit. You know, except the cars going by. You
hear cars.
Yeah. So
they're loud. These are little V6s. I think they're like what 2.2 liter V6 twin turbo. I think is what it is.
They do feel quieter more recently than when I first started going with you.
They changed. Yeah, the engines have changed since you started coming up here. Yeah, and they're going to change again.
Okay.
See, what you've got now is a car that's running about 700 horsepower, and it's a twin turbo V6. Well, they're adding a hybrid function to the thing as well, and it's going to be a regenerative system, much like what Formula One's got, where when they hit the brakes, power goes back into the energy of the car. And when you put a hybrid system into the car, it from what I'm hearing, it sounds just a little bit different, but it's going to kick the horsepower of this damn thing up to about 900 horsepower.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, and from what I read, they're previewing that at Mid-Ohio race in July.
Okay.
And that's the engine they're going to be running next year. So it may sound a little bit different at that time. It's like when Formula One changed from V12s to V10, and now they're running, I think, a V6. People are bad because back in the day, I saw the Formula One race down at the Speedway back in early 2000s, and they sounded like giant mosquitoes buzzing by. They were cool.
Yeah.
And the tone has dropped over the years, and a lot of Formula One fans don't like the sound of the current car because they're not whining like they used to, like what your IndyCar back in the day used to sound like. They had a bit of a whine to them.
Yeah.
And now it's just a rumble.
Okay.
But yeah, they're loud. And I mean, these things get up, top speed can get up to 240 mile an hour on an Indy car.
What did I see?
So
Kyle
Larson.
He put up some impressive speed and time or whatever, didn't
he? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pull the string on that one, didn't you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I saw a post on Facebook and they were making a big deal about it. So I figured
I do commend the guy. I mean, you know by now, I'm not a NASCAR fan.
I know.
All right, just wait till Kyle Larson tries to bump somebody in the race. See how that works out for him.
Yeah, you can't bump an IndyCar.
But I got to tell you, I admire the kid. This is the first time he's ever driven an IndyCar, and he qualified 5th. I mean, he's at 234 something mile an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, or 232 rather. I think 232, 234.2. I think is the pole. Okay. That's Scott McCaughan with Penske. But for Kyle Larson to come up here, put his little butt in an IndyCar and run 230, much like, anyway, that's so commendable. But here's the thing. He wasn't on the track with 32 other cars.
Yeah.
And qualifying is scary. I mean, there are some drivers who are just terrified. I mean, Catherine Legg is driving this year, and she was almost in tears how scary it is, because when you qualify, you're foot down. I mean, you don't put a brake on. You lift, you're out. So it's flat out the whole time. And these guys are buzzing like 236, 238 straightaways flat out into a turn and no brakes. And she qualified, I think, 31st. So she's in the race. But I don't want to do it again. She goes, I can't go back out and try again if she was going to get bumped. Wow. She was on the brink of tears. She was and it's scary. But you put somebody in a racing setting, you're not doing that speed constantly. You're having to adjust. You're having to move around.
Yeah.
You're looking. They got weight jacker systems in the car where they can adjust the weight from back right tire to the front left and adjust the balance of the car as they're driving these ridiculous speeds, so that you're busier during a race, so you don't go quite as fast, as not as scary.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to see how Kyle Larson does, because it's commendable what this guy has done. Let's see how he does in the race with 32 other people vying around him. I think he'll do well. I wish him well. You don't want to wish ill on anybody in a race where you're driving like a bat out of hell. But yeah, he's doing that, and then he runs to a helicopter, flies to Charlotte or somewhere in the hell ever, and then runs a NASCAR race at night, like a 600-mile race or something.
I thought I heard he was doing 2 races in the day.
Well, he did that the other day for qualifying.
Oh, okay.
He already did it. He qualified 5th, dashed to a helicopter, jumped into a jet, flew to Charlotte, ran in the NASCAR All-Star race or whatever it's called, and finished 4th.
Huh.
Well, even that's pretty damn commendable.
I was going to say that's
right?
Impressive, yeah.
Yes, but no.
That's the thing. This isn't as simple as just like when you're driving your car, like when all of us are driving our vehicles. This is not the same level of comfort and ease as just driving your normal day-to-day, run to the grocery store or something like that. This is a intense physical endurance race.
And there's no power steering.
That exactly. I mean,
I mean, you don't want power steering on something that's doing 230 mile an hour, because just a little bit of a tweak,
you're spinning out and
right, you're gone. So you want to feel all 4 feet on the ground. So but yeah, I mean, it's physical, and these guys are going in 9-degree banks, but they're 5 Gs against your neck, and you do that, 250 times.
Yeah.
Well, no shit, more than that. 250 laps, 4 times that. So yeah, I mean it wears you down.
Well,
So
and they're out there in those fire suits and whatever else they're wearing, the
right,
helmets and all that. I mean,
and on qualifying, the inside the cockpit temperatures were measuring 131 degrees.
and there lies the other thing. Outside temperature plays a big role. You have the track kicking off a lot of heat. I mean, these guys are sweltering in those cars.
Yep. Yeah, they lose like 10 to 15 pounds a race or some shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's stupid. It looks like a car race, but boy, my God, there's more physical endurance involved in this thing. And if you blink, you're in the wall.
Yeah.
So it's 2.5 to 3 hours of complete concentration, strategy, timing, and I don't care if you finish dead last. God love you. Good job.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Interesting.
So yeah. So Penske swept the front row. As you well know, they line up 3 across, and Scott McLaughlin is in the pole position, Will Power, and then Joseph Newgarden is the front row.
Okay. Now, how does that work with them kind of being essentially teammates?
Right.
Like, how does that work? Because obviously each one of them wants to win.
Right.
Do they get a call over the radio like, hey, you need to. We're giving it, or we're setting up this guy. You need to, protect this guy and, play offense and all that. I mean, how does that work?
Penske doesn't usually do that. He lets each team go for its own.
Okay.
And Formula One does that. And every time they say, okay, you step back and let your team guy get it, it pisses everybody off. Even, especially the guy that's been told to step back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're taking a competitor and basically like kneecapping,
Right. But what they can do though is if you've got a teammate out there, and let's make a scenario here. If Penske is running really strong and there's a Chip Ganassi or an Andretti car coming up, if Will Power or Newgarden, the teammate to the Penske car up front, if they can get in the way without impeding, if they can just somehow be that middle car, and break the drafting, break the slipstream of the wind, they can do that.
Okay.
But you don't want to be blocking, you don't want to be doing dangerous crap, and you don't want to be obvious. But yeah, teammates will do that. Andretti does extremely well at that kind of crap.
Okay.
So it's funny. The other day, I was down at the track. I took some photos and posted them on Instagram. And I'm standing next to this guy, and we're standing there taking pictures. And all right, one thing I noticed with this Te Amo is when you talk, it goes out.
Uh-oh. See, I have not had that problem because I'm not doing nearly as much talking. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to rely a bit, but so I'm standing talking to this guy, and he started asking me, what settings are you using, what shutter speed are you using, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a Nikon, nice setup, and he was here from the Netherlands.
Oh, neat.
He's over here for 2 weeks with his dad and his uncle. He's a big Kyle Larson fan, so he flew and watched Kyle Larson at the race in Charlotte the other night, and he's going to fly after the Indy race and go and do the same damn thing and watch Kyle Larson race in that other race too.
That's a long day as a fan.
That's a lot of money because he's over here for 2.5 straight weeks.
Yeah.
But he asked me, he says, so who do you root for? And we're saying amongst, other people around. I said, I don't necessarily cheer for anybody. I said, but I do cheer against Andretti. And 3 other guys. Yeah, me too. Yeah. It was like a rally cry. It was really kind of cute. And the kid laughed. He goes, okay, I'll do that too. It's like, all right.
I mean, there's some truth to that. I know from years past, it's always like, we're good with anybody except Marco,
And Marco's in the race.
Of course.
So, we're all chewing. I'm going to cheer against Marco. But it was just funny. It's like these other guys were all in agreement. So, yeah, that's the Andretti factor.
Okay. So, predictions for the race then? Do you have any?
I would be hard pressed to bet against Scott McLaughlin this year.
Okay.
And I would also, I'm relighting. Give me a
No,
minute.
you're fine. You're fine. Speaking of, while he's relighting,
Got it.
I'm about halfway on my Te Amo. The smoking experience, I think it feels kind of like a light medium. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not getting that strong medium out of it
No,
yet. I'm not halfway, so maybe it kicks in, but
it's feeling like kind of a little bit of a light medium. I did do a retrohale. There is a little bit of spicy, peppery notes to the retrohale.
all right.
And then, but like in terms of the smoking experience, it's kind of a light medium. Now, the wind is definitely taking away my smoke, so I can't really say how much of a smokestack this cigar is. You know, maybe it kicks off a ton of smoke and it's just getting taken away real quickly. But
no, that's not the case, because I sit out here all the time, and I've got some that are absolutely exhaust pipes.
yeah.
And this isn't doing it.
Okay.
So
I will say, even with the wind, my burn line is pretty good.
yeah.
So, you know, construction-wise, I don't have any issue with this cigar at all.
No, the ashes are looking good. You know, they're holding together. So, no, quality-wise, it's not a bad cigar.
I'm liking it. I don't know if I necessarily would go so far as to. I'm still with you. I don't know if I am buying into the price point.
I would like it for $7 or $8.
I think for $8, I think this would be a really solid $8 cigar.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
So you were saying Scott McLaughlin.
So I would be hard pressed to bet against McLaughlin. And Willpower has gotten a lot of factors straightened out. His wife was deathly sick last year.
Okay.
She was in the hospital and almost died. She had a staph infection that spread to her spine.
Jesus.
And that's why he had a shit year last year. His mind was elsewhere. Well, she's fine now, and she goes to the track with him now, and everything seems to be coming together for Willpower.
Okay.
He looked really, really strong in practice and qualifying. I wouldn't bet against him. So those would be the two bets I've got. Colton Herta.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an Andretti car. Colton Herta looked good. He looked good on Friday. He looked strong on Friday. And Santino Ferrucci.
Okay.
He drives for AJ Foyt. Santino Ferrucci, which sounds like somebody from Italy, but he's born and raised in Connecticut.
I was gonna say, sounds like somebody from like one of the spaghetti westerns. You know.
Oh, I love that. I love the name.
Yeah.
Santino Ferrucci of the Flying Ferrucci brothers.
Flying Ferrucci.
He's done real well. All the years he's been in the 500, he's always been finishing up in the upper ranks of this race. So he's my dark horse. I could see him pull this damn thing off. But beyond that, I don't think the other guys. You know, I think Scott Dixon, he didn't qualify that well. The only way Helio Castroneves is going to win his fifth race is if the other 32 cars crash out.
Oh Jesus.
I don't see. I like Helio.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. He's doing a one-off.
Okay.
He's not full-time driving now. He's just doing the 500. So I don't see that happening. So
Kanan was doing that in the last few years of his.
yeah,
right?
he did that last year.
Okay,
Yeah, he did that,
that's
and
what
he
I
did
thought.
okay.
Yeah.
I think he finished in the upper half last year or some shit. But no, I full-time drivers have the preference, and for some reason the Chevrolets were running the strongest.
Okay.
Chevrolets were the powerhouses up front. If you look at qualifying, I think the top 7 were all Chevrolets, as I recall.
Okay.
Top 6 or 7 were all Chevys, and that speaks volume as to picking your winner. So
Gotcha.
that's my prediction. It's going to be I don't see Newgarden repeating. I think he's still got that weight on his back from the bullshit earlier this year. He hasn't shaken that off quite yet.
Yeah.
So I think either McLaughlin or Power or Santino Ferrucci or Herta would be the two dark horses.
Do you want to talk about the bullshit from earlier this year for those people who
No.
maybe aren't caught up on it?
No, because it's bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah, Indy cars have on the road courses. They have a thing called push to pass, where they push a little button on the steering wheel at prescribed times on the track, and it gives them an extra 50 horsepower, and they use that, basically to pass and gain advantage.
And it's for a short period of time.
It's a burst. It's like
Yeah.
20 seconds or some shit.
Okay.
Yeah. And they only have 200 seconds of it. So you hold your thumb down, you burn it up, you're out of it half the race. So you have to be judicious with it. Anyway, there was a race in California. It was a non-point awarding race out at Thermal Club, and they allowed it. They allowed push to pass on restarts, which is different. All right. It was a special show bullshit race for money. And they allowed push to pass, as I recall, for that race. Well, Team Penske apparently had programmed the car for that race, but didn't remove that line of code for the race in St. Petersburg, Florida. And Joseph Newgarden pushed the button. It worked. He goes, well, shit, maybe there's this rule change because we're doing it next week or 2 weeks in California. And he pushed the button and he got an advantage on the restarts and he wins the race. And Scott McLaughlin came in second and he pushed it a time or two. Okay. And Will Power had the same function, but he didn't push it at restart. He didn't violate the restart. Well, they had that race in Thermal Club, and then the next race was in Long Beach, California, and they removed that functionality for that race. Well, IndyCar officials went back and looked and said, well, shit, Newgarden and McLaughlin used push to pass at restarts and inappropriate times, and they docked him the win. They took away the money, and they docked McLaughlin the second place. And even though Will Power didn't use that functionality, they docked him 10 points. So instead of being up in the season point standings, he dropped down to where he would have belonged anyway.
Okay.
But everybody's calling Penske out for cheating. And I've always had this theory, what's that phrase? Me think doth protesteth too much or something.
Yeah.
Right. Andretti comes out, he cheated and all this. And Colton Hurd, that's bullshit. They cheated. They knew well, they got caught. You don't. Yeah. I mean, everybody's doing it and doing something cheating. And it's only cheating when you get caught. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a comedy of errors. It was circumstances. They served their penalty and people are still grumbling about it. They're still trying to make it some big controversy. And the only way Penske is going to get past it is if he wins. Well, the other thing is Penske owns the series. He owns IndyCar.
Yeah.
And Penske owns the Speedway.
I would say he owns the Speedway.
Right. So Andretti said, well, he's not doing enough for IndyCar. He needs to sell it. Well, Michael, go back home. Just because your last name's Andretti doesn't make you God, right?
Yeah.
And so Penske looked at it and he did the right thing. He took the engineers. And he took Tim Cindric, who is the president of Penske, the heir apparent, because Roger's 83 or 84. He's not going to be around forever. Mm-hmm. Tim Cindric is the heir apparent, and banned him from the Grand Prix that you were at, and banned him from the Indy 500.
Oh, wow.
So he and the head engineer and two other engineer programmers, they're not at this race. Yeah, you can't be there. We banned your ass.
I assume for this year, not for future.
No, just for May, just
year.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal because Tim Cindric was a strategy. He was the guy that was calling the strategy for Newgarden.
Okay.
All right. So they've shuffled some program around. They moved, some team members around, and they're apparently doing fine. But he acted internally and banned some of his guys from participating in the race. So even Roger Penske did an honorable thing by doing that. But everybody is still out there trying to piss gasoline on the fire and keep it burning when, in fact, come on, everybody does something. Talk to Tom Brady about football.
I was going to say, this is giving me all the reminders of Deflategate and everything else from the Patriots. So it's just kind of
exactly.
There's always guys. Well, and you know what? It's sport. There always has to be some sort of a controversy. There's always got to be some sort of a bad guy for people to root against, and so yeah, it's
exactly right.
So
yeah, so the only way they're going to get over it is when they win. Scott McLaughlin won the race in Alabama.
Yeah.
So he's shaking it off. Will Power's doing fine, and I think Newgarden is still he's still got bruises. So I don't see him pulling this through, or he's trying to shake it off, but people are still talking behind his back, and it hurt him because he's Joe Corporate, and that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's what that's all about. But Penske sweeping the front row, yeah, that's a show force. Good for them. Whether you like them or not, that's commendable.
Well, there we go. Okay, then.
There you go. All right.
Well, so is there any other note that you think people should know going into the 500?
Yeah, if anybody is attending,
Yeah.
you go to that fan area by the pagoda.
Yeah.
Behind the pagoda in the area, and instead of going to one of IMS sanctioned food things, there's a gyros and kebabs stand.
Okay.
And get the pork kebab.
Okay.
I was down there the other day for practice and did the photographing, and I was down for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And for lunch I bought a pork kebab. This damn thing is like a foot long stick, and they've got chunks of pork. Well, like you take a pork steak or something, about a little bit bigger than golf balls, and you get maybe 10 or 11 of them on the skewer, and they're charcoal grilled.
Okay. All right then.
Best $13 lunch I mean, the bottle of water is $7, but for $13 compared to a $9.50 cheeseburger, go a few more bucks more and get the pork kebab.
Okay.
And you can just send me a thank you note.
Okay.
It's one of the best things I've ever eaten at that track. Phenomenal.
All right then. Well,
there you go.
There's a little insider tip right there.
A little culinary advice.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
Let's go ahead and do this now. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. And speaking of Villiger Cigars, they are the headline sponsor of Pulpit Fest 2024, and you've been helping me out a lot with that, with you and Ken.
I don't know about helping or not, but I'm trying to keep track. Trying to keep track of some of your notes and give you a little bit of idea.
Well, I mean, you know that I've got a lot going on personally right now, and so it's one of those things that as much as I want to be putting a lot more effort into that than I can right now. So no, I appreciate the publicly thanking you for the assistance on that, because it's coming together really well.
You're publicly welcome.
Okay.
Over my career, I've coordinated a lot of marketing events. I've done trade shows by myself, and fundraising events. And if nothing else, put the categories on paper, fill in some blanks, keep it on track, and by all indications, son, it looks like it is. Yeah. So if you call that help, I will graciously accept that and thank you for the acknowledgement. But you and Ken have done a great job getting companies involved and pulling details out there. It looks like it's going to be a great event for everybody that's going to be there.
It's really going to be a great event. I know tickets are currently sold out. It's one of those things I've been telling people that if you're still planning on going, if you've whatever, and you didn't get a ticket, let me know and we can see what happens. Because you and I have talked about it. Like, theoretically, the odds of everybody being at the event at one specific time, it's kind of low. I mean, maybe Saturday evening, but aside from that, I mean, people are going to be coming and going. They're going to be doing their own thing. They're going to be looking around. I mean, it's Florida, for God's sakes. They're going to be going and exploring around.
Exactly right. Absolutely right. So. No, you can have 50 people, you can have 55 tickets sold. It's not going to matter, because at any given time, I predict the most you'll have in that spot will be 40.
Yeah. So
because some guy's going to come late, somebody's going to have to be someplace and leave early, and it's just it's going to be a swinging door of attendees. Mm-hmm. So you're good.
Anyway, so
on a completely different topic, you know how I sit out here and I have Flight Tracker?
Yes.
Right above me right now is an Emirates airline left Dubai 13 hours and 58 minutes ago,
Yeah.
and it's arriving in Houston in an hour and 47 minutes.
Okay.
And it's buzzing along at slightly more than 40,000 feet up.
You have a lot coming from Dubai to Texas,
There,
it seems.
there are a lot of flights from the Middle East, from the Eastern Bloc, going to Texas. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. That's that's a big MFer though. He's huge, and the contrails are massive.
Oh. Okay.
So anyway, thought I would inject that. Okay,
Well,
so
no.
the Villiger Entertainment. What? Go on.
Yeah.
Here's your
So,
thought.
no. So in terms of entertainment, that's something you do when you sit out with your cigars, just to give a little plug to
do.
Flight Tracker.
Well,
you know?
I love Flight Tracker because you bid it on GPS where you're sitting. You look up, you see an airplane, and it shows you what it is. You tap the little icon, and it tells you what kind of plane it is, where it came from, where it's going, and it intrigues me. It's like I told you the other day, though. I went scanning around the world, and it does it globally. I mean, I can sit here and look at airplanes flying over India,
Yeah.
but I looked down over north of Puerto Rico, and there was a balloon at 63,000 feet, and it's like, the friggin' hell is a balloon? And then I looked again 5 minutes later, and it was gone. It's like, well, those bastards crashed into the Bermuda Triangle and died. But yeah, I'm intrigued watching airplanes and just seeing the different types and kinds. And there's a lot of private jets. There's a lot of net jets on weekends buzzing over, a lot of corporate jets. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch that. It'll be fun It'll be fun this weekend because all the corporate jets will be flying in here for the race.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, and
Anyway.
of course there's the flyover.
Of course, there's that.
You never know. You never know
Oh, yeah.
what you're going to see flying over.
Well, the coolest thing, I believe you were along that year. The coolest one we ever had was the one you didn't hear. It was the stealth bomber.
Stealth bomber. Yep.
And it's like everybody's looking. The national anthem's going off. God love the singer anyhow, but we're all looking to turn forward to see what the hell's going to fly over. And next thing you know, you look up and go, "Oh shit!" And it was a stealth bomber. You couldn't even hear it, like whispered over us.
Yep.
That was a good one.
It was cool. That was really
Yeah.
cool. Although
And then the one year that go on.
I was going to say, I do like it when something flies over. It just makes a hell of a lot of noise.
Yes, yeah, it scares the bejesus out.
Yeah.
Well, and then you sent me that story about the pilot who botched his flight pattern in like an F-16, and then he circled around and went over again and got in trouble with the FAA. Yeah, I love that. But that's coordinated. They have to take off. I mean, they come in from like New Mexico and Carolinas and all around.
Yeah.
And they fly, and they have to time the passover right at the exact moment of the song.
Which is not easy, because if there's any delay on the ground, I mean, then it delays their flight and everything else.
Oh, the communication from the ground to this pilot has got to be awesome.
You would think.
Yeah. So talk about event planning.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Are we getting a flyover for Pulpit Fest? Maybe a drone. Maybe a drone.
I was going to say maybe a crop duster.
Crop duster. Yeah.
Gosh, you go. But anyway. All right. Well, that's the Villiger Entertainment Report.
Anyway.
Villiger.
No. So okay. So to the actual entertainment report. Yeah, I haven't watched shit. I will freely admit I have been. So I have. I guess my entertainment has been Realtor.com and Zillow, and
keep it up.
I've spent more time on that. It's funny. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and they were saying, like, you know, talking about the dating apps, and I was like, yeah, I'm not on the dating apps right now. I'm on Realtor.com and Zillow. It's like those are my apps. I'm swiping right on those right now, you know.
But they're similar to dating apps because they're ugly too.
Well,
there's a lot of ugly on both of those.
Well,
apps.
and it's one of those things. It's similar to dating apps. You might find one that you like, but then, you know, you get into it and you're like, I'm not interested in this after all. So, yeah,
it leaks.
Yeah.
So we've actually watched a few movies, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown.
You're not a movie guy, so this is good. I'll be interested in this. This will be good.
I'm not a movie guy,
Yeah.
but Janet is, and I sit there with my iPad and play games and Google shit.
Okay.
All right. The Beekeeper.
Oh, Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entertaining movie knockoff of John Wick.
Okay.
Can you steal John Wick any more directly than that movie? He kills everybody.
Yeah.
and walks away. It's like, all right, I mean, Brinker would like it.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it was fun, it was entertaining, and it was completely not believable.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I remember when it came out, and I remember thinking it looks like your typical action flick, and I figured, I might watch it on streaming one night if I'm bored. But,
yeah. Apparently, a beekeeper is like the highest, most echelon position in the CIA of these people that they'll kill everything within sight, and you won't even know they were there.
Oh, okay.
So they're called beekeepers.
Okay.
And he did, and he's good. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, now let's go down. Let's go down a lot notches. Okay. Moonfall. Have you heard of Moonfall? It came out, I think, 2022. Halle Berry.
Nope, not even ringing a bell.
Good.
That bad, huh?
The moon goes out of orbit.
Wait a minute. I think I have seen this. And it turns out that like the inside of the moon is like aliens or some shit.
Yes.
I have seen this movie.
She becomes the head of NASA.
Yes.
Like that's believable.
I have seen
it.
And
the best character is the doofus geek.
Yep.
Who said, I knew it. I told people all along it was an alien entity.
It's Trey-Mac.
Unbelievable. I thought of him during this movie.
It's Trey-Mac.
Yeah, that son of a bitch would look at this and go, I knew it too. I saw that movie.
This
and
is
it's
a documentary. Oh my God.
Yeah. Moonfall. I give that two thumbs down.
Okay.
Here's another one. Night Swim.
Mm-hmm.
His family buys a house and it's got a haunted swimming pool.
Oh my God.
And a creature. The pool is fed by a natural stream from a pond. And there's this creature comes through the thing and takes over people and kills them. And the only way your family's going to be safe is if you sacrifice a family member.
What the fuck? Okay.
Night Swim.
All right. Well.
Hard to pass.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a very good movie.
I think I texted you this one. A movie called Teeth.
Yeah, you did.
A young lady has a condition called vagina dentata.
God. Yeah.
The vagina dentata. That's all you need to know.
Oh, dear God. I don't need to think about that either.
And that's how she gets even. That's how she gets
the dating apps.
Going back to the dating app. Ask everybody if they have vagina dentata.
Vagina dentata.
Unbelievable.
There's a deal breaker question when you're doing the early swiping. It's
shit.
So are you a Scientologist and do you have vagina dentata? Oh my God.
And is that how you get even with guys that you don't like?
Oh, yeah. Lord.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I'm watching this and I'm thinking, we get our movies from the library, so we don't pay money. We don't pay money for the damn things.
That's good. At least you didn't pay money for this.
I would pay him $5 to destroy the damn DVD. I mean, it's that bad.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Teeth.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, I know that Janet has some interesting movie choices because I mean, we did watch Lamb that one time. I was over.
Oh God, I knew you were going to mention that.
I mean, come on, that one.
Yeah, but that was good. That was good in a weird way.
That is in my top 5 weirdest fucking movies I've ever seen. Like that one. That little lamb kid walking around and just holding the hands of the adults and it was the weirdest freaking movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
not good.
Okay.
And then there's this one, and everybody's going to go, oh.
Okay.
I heartily recommend anybody with children to rent a movie called it's a book actually. It's called The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane.
Okay. I'm not familiar with this one.
Yeah, it's a very sweet, heartfelt, kind of cartoonish thing.
Okay.
Edward Tulane is a rabbit. He's a little China rabbit. He's a little doll. And it's all about how... Puffy my cigar.
No,
it's all about how little Edward Tulane goes missing. And he bounces from one person to another. And to another, he gets thrown overboard during a cruise. into the ocean. He washes ashore. Somebody finds him and cleans him up and renames him. And a hobo finds him and gives him clothes and it's this adventure of this little China doll. And what it teaches is loss. It teaches love. It teaches a lot of heartfelt aspects of life that little children need to learn about.
Yeah.
And it's got a very nice ending. It's got the ending you would want it to have.
Okay.
I guess, and it goes over it goes over years. But it's got the kind of ending where you go, I'm glad it ended that way. I was hoping all along. And it's just, it's one of those, I'll tell you very frankly, we looked at it thinking we ought to get some videos for when we all go on vacation in July.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, we're packing, you and
everybody up.
Everybody, all the grandkids and everybody. And we're thinking, well, shit, maybe we ought to have a couple of movies we can entertain the children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, and I don't know, maybe too young perhaps, but this is the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane, hands down, is one of the sweetest films with lesson.
Okay.
That you can come across.
All
right. Now here's the big one.
Oh.
No,
you have watched a lot of movies.
No. Well, this isn't a movie. This is a guy who's on YouTube.
Okay.
And I can't recommend him enough. He has a YouTube channel. I think he also does podcasting. It's called Dry Creek Wrangler School.
Okay.
All right. And you're going, what the hell's that?
I would say.
Dry Creek Wrangler School is an actual place in Wyoming, and it teaches horse handling. It's a 4-day course. And you want to be a cowboy, you go out there and you learn how to be a cowboy. You learn how to handle your horse and do all the cowboy stuff.
Okay.
And it's a guy and his wife. The guy's name is Dwayne, Dewayne, Dwayne Noel, Noel. And he's a philosopher cowboy.
Okay.
Promise me you will look him up on YouTube.
And it's Dry
Creek Wrangler. Like Wrangler jeans. Yeah. Dry Creek Wrangler School.
Okay.
And he's an old grizzly cowboy. He's got a full beard, and he's just that old cowboy kind of guy. Like, I'm trying to remember that one actor who was in Roadhouse. The really cool guy with the mustache. Sam Elliott.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Take Sam Elliott and slam a big old grizzly ass beard on him. All right.
Okay.
He's that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
And as I said, he's a philosopher cowboy, and he talks about everything. He talks about life. He talks about loss. He gives life advice, and he talks about cigars. Okay. He talks about pipes. He smokes a cigar in a lot of his episodes, and he talks about how people who taste cigars and they say, oh, it's got a whisper of this and a taste of that's all. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I judge cigars two ways: good, not good.
Okay.
And he's the kind of guy that if you had a problem, you would want to sit and listen to him for advice. He's that guy.
Okay.
And he has a podcast. I've not looked the podcast up, but I've watched a handful of his YouTube videos. He's got a channel. Honest to God, man, anybody out there listening to this, check this guy out, because he's that guy you want. You want to listen to him. He talks about regret. He talks about loss. He talks about all kinds of weird little aspects of life, and you're going, damn, this guy is brilliant. And he's easy to listen to, and he looks like the kind of guy you just like to hang with.
All right.
I don't even own a fucking horse, and I don't want to be a cowboy, and I want to go to his Wrangler school.
Okay.
So,
all right. Dry Creek Wrangler. Okay.
Dry Creek Wrangler School.
School. Okay. I will.
That's my man.
I will look that up. Now, there is another guy on YouTube that I think I've mentioned to you before. I don't know if you've checked him out. But if anybody's into music and kind of the breakdown of a song and what, like, all the different components that go into music and everything, there's a guy that I follow that I have watched some of his videos. I will throw him on in the background sometime. He's fascinating. I don't know shit about music. I know if I hear a song, I'm like, I like it or I don't like it. But, reading music or breaking down music or knowing this note or that note or being able to play by ear and things like that, I mean, I don't play anything, whatever. But Rick Beato, it's Beato. Rick Beato. This guy's channel is phenomenal. He will do he does breakdowns of various songs. He'll do like his personal, top 20 of whatever. He will look at the current like trending charts to figure out and do like his kind of like review of what's trending right now. Spoiler alert, he's not a big fan of current day music. But he does like some stuff. Every once in a while something will come up on one of those and he'll be like, that actually was pretty good. But it's just really, really interesting to hear him talk. And he does interviews. He'll have famous musicians come on and he'll like do deep dive, long form interviews with various people. Like I think he had the drummer from the Smashing Pumpkins on. But he's had a whole bunch of people. That's just, I think, one of the more recent ones. But yeah, Rick Beato, he's got a fantastic channel, and I like I said, I'm not into music, in terms of like the making of and everything, but this guy just fascinates the hell out of me.
You did tell me about him, and I watched a couple, and I agree. Yeah. I found him immensely entertaining. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing with music, you mentioned he doesn't like modern music.
Yeah.
Nor do I. But the thing I'm intrigued at is what happened to bands? Where did the bands go?
Right. And here's the thing. I think, and maybe this is just my limited perception and opinion, but it seems like ever since the internet kind of took off and you had more ways to kind of put yourself out there, I think there are bands, there is music that perhaps, you would enjoy and that I would enjoy and things like that. I think it's just harder to find it. I don't think you have the studio system pushing out, acts like they used to. I think it's much more scattered.
The last big band, not big band, big band.
Yeah.
The last band I think that really hit it was Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
And that's been years ago. I mean, the Killers, I think the Killers are fantastic out of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Brandon Flowers is a hell of a lead singer. The Killers are good. But where are the damn bands? You have performers.
Yeah.
You got all these people who stand up there and try to sing, but they're performers. They're not musicians. It's like Taylor Swift. She's a performer.
Yeah.
All right. She writes her music, and every song consists of 3 chords. And
that's something that Rick Beato talks about, is how basically like a lot of the current music is very repetitive. That it's when you hear the little bit, the whole song is basically the same thing. But
where are
no variation.
Where are the days? Yeah, where are the days of good band? It's as you know, we went and saw the Eagles last October, November, whenever they were in town here, their final tour. All right, we saw the Eagles, and Steve Miller Band was the opening act. All right, Steve Miller's 80 friggin' years old.
Yeah,
and he had that place singing. I mean, we all knew that, and this old guy is just rocking the damn place. And then you have the Eagles come out. Well, Don Henley. Don Henley is like 76 or 77, something like that. Joe Walsh is 75 or 76. He's one of the best, and he still bangs that damn thing. And it's like the band is good.
Yep.
And you don't have that. You cannot name a band that came out in the last 5 years that people look at all the award shows.
Yes.
There isn't a band called on stage. It's some kid or some punk, and it's like, whatever. And they grumble and they mumble and they get their award and they shuffle off stage. Where are the damn bands? Music has died. The bands are gone.
Yeah.
And it's like I've said before, Bohemian Rhapsody. Shit, that came out like what, 75? Something like that?
I guess.
The freaking thing's like, some Aerosmith songs are 50 years old.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
Are we going to be singing Taylor Swift songs in 50? Well, I'm not, because I'm going to be dead. But 50 years from now, you think that? No, you're not. You're not going to be singing Bieber songs in 25 years.
I've thought that a lot too. That even music that is 30, 40, 50 years old, it stands that test of time, and it's still good. And yeah, you're right. I mean, 50 years from now, that stuff may still be what we're all like singing. And
you're still going to be singing Bohemian Rhapsody 25, 30, 40 years from now.
There may not be. I do think there is going to be this gap of historic music that takes place over you know, 2000 to current day, perhaps. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's
I,
definitely
I,
different.
I think music is going to be AI generated, and you're going to lose the human aspect of it, and people are going to be no talent.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That's sad. To have somebody be able to stand there, pick up a guitar, strum it, and sing. Those days are limited. Much less, a group of guys playing or women playing together, and pulling it off as a band. It's gone. So it saddens me really when you look at it because, again, I'm a big music fan. I love music, and I just I see what's being played today,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't listen to those channels. I'll go to Sirius XM and I'm jumping. I'm jumping back to the 70s, 80s, even some of the 90s. But shit today, nah, it's
Yeah.
not a sing along kind of a thing. It doesn't do it.
No, I don't.
It's a formula today, and that's sad.
Well, it
So
is, and I don't want to be that old guy that's like shouting at clouds, like back in my day. But like, that's the thing. It's. I think
well,
even
you might as well start now doing that because you are going to be that old guy.
eventually, but
It's closer than you think, son.
but the thing is though, like I think this is just a practical thing. I think you're right. I think uh, there are those exceptions that come along, but by and large, musical acts these days they're just not
Yeah.
putting out stuff that's going to stand the test of time.
Well, you look at what's happening to Nashville. You look at the country music charts.
Yeah,
Well, shit. Look at Nashville. People who lived in Nashville for years hate it now. They
really.
despise what's happening because everybody from California has moved there. Housing prices have quadrupled. The homeless population in Nashville has skyrocketed,
Huh.
which is really sad. All these kids are moving there, and they're living on the damn streets. And it's sad what's happening in Nashville. Well, you've got everybody there who's wanting to hit it big. So you've had these rock and roll people from California all moving to Nashville, and are all going to become country players.
Yeah.
And you look at the charts in Nashville, and you listen to the singers in Nashville, and tell me if you can tell them all apart. And the answer is you can't.
Yeah.
The days of George Strait and Waylon Jennings and some of the old country songs, they're gone.
Yeah.
You give a guy a guitar and say, "Here, stand here, pluck it, and sing a heartfelt song." Nah. Jelly Roll is the number one. And God love him. He's got a nice voice and he's good, but a good Nashville country singer is an oddity anymore. I think, unfortunately, it's all performance based now. So, yeah. There's your Villiger. Let's piss on music report.
I was gonna say there's our Villiger music hot take right there. There you go.
Get off my lawn, you damn kid. Anyway.
Well, I just finished my Te Amo.
I've still got probably, I don't know, a little less than half to go.
Well, you're talking more than I am, so
I am, but I'm easily like, I don't know, 3.5 inches remaining, I guess. And it never did get strong. It never did get burned.
No.
It's a straight down the middle, medium to light cigar.
Yeah, it definitely just kind of stayed in that range. I will say flavor note wise, probably in the final third, I got a little bit more of a earthy kind of component to it. Not like not dirt, but kind of that earthy kind of component to it. Maybe a smidge of pepper spice to the actual smoking experience, but by and large,
I mean,
it was,
the ashes are tight.
Yeah, no, I can't say anything bad about the construction. The ash was really well.
I've got 1.5 inches of ash going here, and it's not moving. So,
well, that's good. I can't pull that off here. Every once in a while I have a nice good wind gust come through, and I was afraid it was going to ash all over myself.
I guess my bottom line reviewing this thing was, if anybody has the chance, and if you can get it for less than $10, grab one.
Oh yeah,
it's not a bad smoke.
No.
It's not what they used to be. It's different. It's striking me different.
Yeah.
But for the price point, I wouldn't pay full list on this sucker. But if this is an also add-on, if I don't know what their distribution here in the States looks like.
Yeah.
But if you come across one and you want one more to throw in the bag, I'd say you're not going to lose on it. It's just a matter of price point.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think at $11.50 or $12 or whatever it's running, that might be it's a little high for it. But If you can get it for,
But how long have we been talking? I haven't even looked at the clock. We're well over an hour.
Yeah, we're like an hour 20 right now.
Okay,
and I mean,
and this son, like I said, I've still got 3.5 inches to go. So
yeah, and you've only had to relight it once?
One time, yeah.
That's
so
not bad.
This thing is you're getting a good distance out of it.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
I like
based on the Dry Creek Wrangler School rating, good, no good. Yeah, I'd say it's good.
It's good. Okay. Well,
it's not the best. Anyway, go ahead.
Speaking of good, let's talk about fucking good coffee for a moment. And guys, you can get some fucking good coffee from friend of the show Nick Gervais over there at fuckinggoodcoffee.com. Where you can find a variety of different coffee blends. You get the lounge coffee that pairs well. I mean, everything pairs well with cigars, but the lounge coffee is designed to pair well with all cigars. So that's something that you can get and brew and have a nice cup of coffee with your cigar. And we are coming into summer, obviously. Works well with the cold brew, so you can get yourself some of that. And
go buy some fucking ice.
Yeah, I was gonna say go buy some fucking ice, and then you can fucking enjoy your fucking good coffee, So
make some fucking ice coffee.
There you go. It all works out well. But you can get that. And if you're looking for the fucking good cigar, I haven't heard from Nick to see if they're sold out or not. I think last I knew there were a handful left. So you can head on over to mymonthlycigars.com, and that's where he's got the link for the fucking good cigar, which I enjoy it. It is a good cigar. Also a straight medium, but that's something that he worked with United Cigars to put out, and it's a nice tasty cigar that would go well with your fucking good coffee. So check it out, fuckinggoodcoffee.com. So, in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. Everybody can get in on that and, share their cigars that they're smoking and have a good time. I'm on Twitter /X and YouTube, where you can watch this. And Eventbrite is sold out, so I don't need to mention that. So, and then you're on Instagram at Curmudge Jim.
Curmudge Jim, yeah. I post my photos there whenever I find something worth photographically taking. So you will see IndyCars on there, sunspots.
I've gotten into celestial bodies, if you will.
I've gotten astrophotography.
Mm.
There's a difference between celestial bodies and there's moons in there, but so yeah, I photographed. You remember like a week or so ago, Aurora Borealis was visible, and they're saying that this big ass sunspot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to my Instagram at Curmudge Jim, and you'll see a photo of that sunspot.
There you go.
I've taught myself how to photograph the sun, and the eclipse is fully documented on there as well for you eclipse fans. So every now and then I throw photos up there.
Okay. Well, very cool.
And that's it.
All right. Well, I don't really know. I guess for those of you who are interested in watching the Indy 500, hopefully you got a little something out of this. And
yeah, look for me on TV. I'll wave. I'll be wearing a hat.
There you go. Yeah, we'll pick you out of the crowd. It'll be all right.
We'll wave. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, Dad, thank you so much for taking time out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've got one more thing for your listeners to ponder.
Okay.
This is my parting thought.
Parting thought.
If you're not allowed to use cell phones, if states are outlawing cell phones, and you're not allowed to hold them hands free, because it causes distracted driving.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you texting and shit as you drive.
Yeah.
Can somebody please explain to me why auto manufacturers are making touch screens across the entire front of your dashboard, then that you have to look at the screen to do everything? One of the vehicles now, and to turn your windshield wipers on, it's in the touchscreen menu 3 moves deep.
Really?
Yeah. So
you have to go into like a menu and a sub-menu and a sub-menu to get to your windshield wipers? on this big ass screen that you're not supposed to look at because it causes distracted driving. So if we're not allowed to have phones and if we're not allowed to talk because it's distracting, why are they putting these big ass friggin' screens across the front of these cars to distract you to have to look at the screen and not the windshield? It's actually a really good question.
Explain that to me. And nobody can. I've tried.
Huh.
So there you go. There's your pondering moment of the day.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm not Pinky, but I'll give you something to ponder. How's that?
Well, okay. So I still need to sit and edit the Pinky Fun Facts. That is on my to-do list. And it's a long to-do list at this point. But I do have a fun fact that I texted you the other day. And, this was one that I spent entirely too much time thinking about this yesterday when I stumbled across this. But there are 49 million kangaroos in Australia. And there are 3.5 million people in Uruguay. Which means that if the kangaroos think about invading Uruguay, each person would have to step up and fight 14 kangaroos. Now, here's my thing with that. Some of these kangaroos are fucking vicious, man. Like, I wouldn't want to be messing with a kangaroo. Much less 14 of them. Just saying.
So if they decide to do that, it'll be renamed Kangaroo Land.
Right? And then what happens if they partner up with the koalas and the dingoes,
Yeah, you're doomed.
Now you've got this whole Australian strike force coming in, dingoes eating babies and koalas coming in from the trees from up above and kangaroos beating the piss out of everybody. It's a horrible thing.
You've just terrified the shit out of Uruguay.
Yeah, I'm saying Uruguay is sitting there going like, oh shit.
They're sitting there going,
we did not consider this,
Hadn't thought of that. Quick, we need a wall.
Gotta watch out for the kangaroos.
It has to be a big wall because those kangaroos can jump pretty high. Oh, no.
Well, no, you Google kangaroos and you look at the Google images. My God, these things are built. Oh, they're buff as hell.
They're buff. They'll kick the shit out of a human and not even think twice.
It's bizarre.
I know. Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you got too much time on your hands.
I do.
We need to get you a hobby.
Yeah, that's what I need is more things
there
to
you
do.
Go.
All
right.
I will say, as I'm sitting here, I have not seen my snake.
I was going to ask you if he's popped his head out.
No.
Again.
So for the listeners, I don't know if I've ever mentioned. So in the soffit of my carport, there's a little area that some birds had gotten in and had a bird nest. And I would sit out here at my cigars. I'd watch the parents, come and go with bugs and various things, and you'd hear the little baby birds in there tweeting every time one of them came back with food. And it was nice, Granted, they were pooping all over the driveway in my car, but whatever. I mean, it's nature. It is what it is. And it was last Thursday. I'm sitting out here under the carport having a cigar, and I look up there, and I see this thing dangling from the area where the birds come and go. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I go over to it, and it is the head of a rather large snake. And I sent the picture to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, and what's the first thing you do? You send me the picture like I'm supposed to do something about it.
Well, no, it's more just like, holy shit, check this out,
I know. It's a big snake.
Yeah, and you Googled it, and it's a black rat snake.
Black rat snake.
Which I then reached out to Noah, because Noah is, my resident snake expert. And
yeah, he's called a snakeologist.
He pointed out that they like to climb, and that they
eat baby birds.
Eating birds and mice. And so, apparently that snake must have had himself one hell of a meal, because there have been no birds coming and going ever since I saw that snake, and I haven't heard them. I haven't seen them. I mean, I don't think I have a nest anymore. I also have not seen the snake since then either.
Because there's no food left.
Yeah, so now I'm thinking he came out, but now I'm sitting here next to the giant bush next to my driveway, where I know there's probably at least another 2 nests, or at least there probably were. For all I know, that snake cleared everything out. But yeah, it was an interesting time under the carport that day. But I've been parking my car further down the driveway because I'm like paranoid. I'm like, because it's right by my driver's door, so like that's where I walk. I walk underneath that spot. So I'm just waiting for the day that I walk under there and this giant, like 4-foot black rat snake decides to fall out and land on my shoulder, And
Sebastian.
Exactly. It would not end well. That's all I'm saying. It would. I would embarrass myself greatly if this giant snake decided to land on my shoulder. So
yeah, you would shit yourself, and that would spark him away. That would be it.
there you go.
I know that.
Yeah, no, that's how
That's
it would
what
go.
I would do.
That's how it would go.
Yeah, that's funny. All right.
Anyway, well, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick.
And I'm Nick's dad.
Everybody stay safe and stay smoky.
Bye, everybody.
You know, and for the record, I think Ken is still trying to figure out a way to get you down to Pulpit Fest.
Yeah, well, good luck. I'm going to be over. I'm over at your place the weekend prior.
I know. We're going to an Indy race.
That's right.
Yep,
That's right.
We're going to see the IndyCar. So,
yeah, I'm not sure how I could get down there. I would like to be there, but the last thing you need is your dad there to be a wet rag on your event. So I just want it to be a success for you, and I think it's going to be.
Sure, everybody will be looking forward to seeing.
Yeah,
if that was the case.
This is going to be unlike any other past. So you're setting a benchmark on your Pulpit Fest.
It's going to be an interesting experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. All right, son.
Proof of concept. Thanks,
That's
guys.